on with you, Ted? What's going on with you, baby?
What's up, brother? It's good to have you on, man. It's hour one. I had some corporate people on and people talking about their children's book, and I said, when is CS coming on? And I kept looking at the clock.
Well, now it's going to be a different kind of party.
It's going to be a different kind of party. Like I said, I was laid back, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay. But always, you are a friend to the room. CS, let's just get into it. The Super Bowl happened on Sunday. I mean, me personally, I'm an offensive guy. So if you're a defensive guy, you love that Super Bowl. I can't say I loved it. I was kind of falling asleep, but I would tell you this much. On the edges, you had Ware, and you had my other guy. I can't
Von
remember.
Miller.
Oh, Von Miller. Miller on the edges, and they were pulverizing our guy, Cam Newton.
Well,
what's your thoughts
if you notice what happened the week before in New England, they just ate Tom Brady up because that offensive line in New England couldn't handle him, and eventually they ended up getting the offensive line coach fired in New England.
Yes.
And the Chargers actually picked him up, which we'll get into that later. But as far as the Super Bowl is concerned, you're right. It was a defensive game. I played on the defensive side of the ball, so to me it was a good game because it was just hitting you in the mouth left and right. But there was a couple mistakes that were happening because Denver actually allowed Carolina to stay in the game because when you drive down the field and you only settle for field goals instead of touchdowns,
right.
And I said that's going to be an Achilles heel for Denver, but eventually Denver pulled it out because Carolina didn't capitalize on their opportunities.
Was it the case that Bum Phillips is the greatest defensive coordinator? I mean, we all know about the great Bum Phillips. Wade. I'm getting all names screwed up tonight. Wade
that's
Phillips.
his son. It's still in the same family.
Yeah, son of Bum.
Right.
All right. But Wade Phillips. I mean, is he the greatest DC ever? Or
you would have to. You would have to argue that with Buddy Ryan because
yes.
I mean Buddy Ryan what he developed in the 4-6 defense in Chicago and what he did as a head coach in Philadelphia with their defense, it can't be questioned. Even when he was in Arizona, he still did the defense up. So you could have the argument with him and Buddy Ryan. But Wade Phillips, what he did in the second half of the year with Denver, it just can't be questioned. And then what you saw on the field, and really you got to give credit to John Elway too, because after they got embarrassed 2 years ago by Seattle, he said, look, we got to get strong on defense because they straight got bitch slapped by Seattle on the defensive side of the ball. So he went out, he got Ware, he got T.J. Ward, he got to kill Alib. And really Alib almost lost it. He had 3 different penalties in that game that he could look like he was about to go Johnny Manziel on everybody out there. But then he got it back together, and the next thing you know, they're holding Carolina down. They're rushing Cam Newton. Cam Newton has never seen a defense like that all year long, and they just did what they had to do. You got to give Denver credit.
So, CS, I'm going to jump around here. There's a couple of things I want to say to you. Okay, So Cam Newton is getting beat up not only in the game but by media for not, number one, I mean that post game, whatever you want to call it, was horrendous. But okay, so he's been getting beat up all game. He had the opportunity to go for that fumble, and he said it was a business decision. CS,
I understand where he's coming from. He said that, if you look at it a couple times, I looked at the tape a couple times. He was saying how his leg was torqued in a different way, which it was. It was straight up and down. And the only thing I can equate this to is Drew Brees in the last game of the season with the San Diego Chargers when he went for a fumble and dislocated his shoulder. That was the catalyst to getting him out of San Diego. So I can understand where Cam is coming from, that his body was contorted in a way where if he went for the ball, he may have injured his knee. I get that. But like he said, and I give him credit for this, that fumble isn't why they lost the game. Even though they were still in the game at 16-10, at that point it was still winnable for them. That fumble isn't why they lost the game. However, I think the thing with Cam, especially getting bombasted in the media, is not just the fumble, but the way he acted afterwards in the press conference, and what people need to realize is that there was only a couple curtains separating the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos, and you can hear a lot of the Broncos on the other side doing interviews, excited as they should be because they just won the Super Bowl, and it just got to Cam. He started hearing some of the comments, and then some of the questions that the reporters were asking him were straight ass. I mean, if you're going to ask a question, ask something that's meaningful. So it got on his nerves, but he needs to realize he can't act like that. He acted like a little baby. He acted like a little kid. You know, I'm going to take my ball home because y'all won't play with me. You can't do that. Russell Wilson last year was 1 yard away from getting his second Super Bowl ring through an interception. He stood there after the game, for 40 minutes, answered every question like a professional. Cam, it was a bad look on him. You just got voted MVP of the league. You're just about to be the face of the league. You got advertisers out the butt, and I'm sure a couple of his representatives, or I should call them handlers, came to him later and said, look, you can't do this. You got guys right now paying you money to advertise their products, yogurt, and all this other kind of stuff. If you're going to be Superman, you can't be super bitch later on when you start crying. Face up to it.
CS, you had so many great points. I'm going to say this much. Peyton Manning, $12 billion in endorsements. Cam Newton, $11 million in endorsements. So he's right there. Like you said, face of the NFL. He's the MVP. He's going to be on Madden again. He's that guy. So, yes, you're not going – I mean, and I think the main thing here is when you look at the mainstream media and he's dabbing – from week one, they're taking pictures before the games are even over, team pictures. They've got baseball bats out there. They've got all different types of distractions going on out there. And when the goings are good, everyone's out there smiling and cheesing and living it up. But when things go bad, it's something else. It goes back to the old Cam from a few years ago.
Now, he's always been like this. It was brought to my attention that even in college, he was like this. Now, the comments he made this week talking about he's always been a sore loser, and if you don't mind, if you enjoy losing, then you are a loser. I get that. You are a loser. But the thing about the dabbing and all that, to be honest with you, like Ron Rivera said, those guys have been doing that for the last 3-4 years. It's just that when you start the season at 14-0, now you got a whole bunch of eyeballs on you. You got so many people looking at you, so many people naturally haven't seen that. So they look at it as happening just now. They've been doing that for the last 3 or 4 years, but now people are looking at them. And they'll continue to do that. Right. As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing wrong with that. It's personality. It's expressing themselves. And for a head coach like Ron Rivera, he goes ahead and encourages that because he was on the 85 Bears team who had more personalities than anybody that you know.
That's true. We gotta touch we have to touch race, and I guess we have to touch race because we're both African American. We've seen the flip side to it. We've seen Johnny Manziel spin out of control, and yes, the media is getting at him, but to a much lesser degree than Cam not answering questions, and we're seeing him totally torn apart by the media. And for some reason, you got so many different people say, "Oh, it's not about race." It's always about race.
It always is. Yes, it is.
The question I have for you is, Cam's actions after the game, did that set the black quarterback back?
I don't know if it set the black quarterback back because you can't take away his accomplishments this year. You can't take away 17-1, now 17-2. You can't take away the MVP award. You can't take away who he is, 6'5", 6'6", 240, 245 pounds. You have never seen a freak of nature like this under center at all. So it doesn't take that away, and I don't think it takes away from the black quarterback unless you're one of them hooded white folks down south who just want to use an excuse to talk some smack. Right. But it took away from him for a little bit because he was riding a good ride with that smile, with that personality, doing the dab. When I saw a tweet of these 6 little old white ladies doing dabs, I'm like, yeah, he don't make the crossover. And ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But I don't think it took away from him as a black quarterback, because I'm hoping that we're getting away from the conversation of a black and white quarterback instead of him just being a quarterback. But it amazes me how Aaron Rodgers can do, the belt dance when he gets a touchdown, and he gets a multi-million-dollar deal with State Farm. Cad does a couple of dabs in the Superman thing, and everybody wants to go crazy. And really, no one's talking about it. But after the game, the interview with Peyton Manning, which was all great. I'm glad he got his second ring. But the interview with Peyton Manning, a lot of people don't realize he owns 2 different beer distributors. He mentioned Budweiser, which is the distributor he owns. And legally, the athletes in the NFL are not supposed to promote beer alcohol products.
That.
He did it on the slide. And I give Peyton credit. That was some brother stuff right there. You just slide it on in there a little bit. I'm going to drink me a lot of Budweiser beer, so, but no one's talking about that. But, congratulations to him, though.
Oh, my goodness. So I got to take a step back where you can see everyone in the locker room supports Cam. And last year, we turned the clock back a year. It didn't seem that didn't seem to be the case with Russell Wilson, because here's the other side of, and I hate to say it, the black quarterback. I mean, they need to just be quarterbacks, but Russell Wilson is different. He's out there. Well, he's not really that much different, because Cam is involved with the community. Russell Wilson is involved with the community, but Russell Wilson is seemed, or the perception is he's corporate. Perception is, you ask some of the African-American players, they're like, oh, well, he's corporate or he's acting white. When do we get past that point, CS?
Well, I think there's always going to be inner fighting between us as a people. It's always been that way. It wasn't just the white folks that brought us over here and changed. Some of the brothers over in Africa helped them chain us up. So it's always been that inner fighting that's going on. As far as Russell's concerned, but see, I see him, with the clean-cut look. I see him with the proper answers and things of this manner. But he also did some brother stuff. I could call it a different thing, but we on your show, I'm not going to do that. But he did some brother stuff when his white fiance started going out spending his money and dropping his name. He cut her ass real quick and got with Sierra. So that's some brother stuff right there. So he ain't but so corporate. He came back to his roots and did his thing. But I think, Richard Sherman kind of cleared it up himself, saying that, there was no animosity in the locker room. Somebody, let something out that was a misunderstanding, which can happen. And then, of course, as you know, the media, they take off and run with it.
So you have a unique perspective, CS, because you're out in the West Coast. You're a legend, but you're in San Diego, but you're a Raiders fan, because I see you always rocking your Raiders cap.
Damn right.
There were so many discussions about relocation, and after Stan Kroenke basically took his team, bought his land, and said, "Hey, I'm taking these guys on out of here. Legally, I can do it because I have billions of dollars." The situation was different for San Diego and for Oakland, and they're kind of circling the wagon, going back and forth, and public versus private dollars. And what's your take on relocation out there out west with you?
Sometimes you don't want to say "I told you so" to people, but I'm gonna say, "Damn it, I told you so." About a year and a half ago, when all this started coming up, a lot of people don't realize there was like a little vote in L.A. I don't know whether it was city council or the Chamber of Commerce, whatever the case may be. They said the number one team that they wanted back in L.A. was the Rams, because the Rams were there. I get that. And the second team they wanted was the Raiders. There was not one vote for the San Diego Chargers. And I said that back in the day. And I told people this past season, you have to be wanted to go somewhere. Don't nobody want these damn lightning strikes. 4 and 12? What kind of product are you taking anywhere? You can't take that product nowhere. You better stay right where you at and get a stadium taken care of here. Now, on the Chargers, for the Chargers support, I've been here in San Diego going on 16 years. They've been talking about a stadium for 14 years, and they still ain't got it done.
Wow.
So some of the blame is on Spanos as the owners, and some of the blame is on the city council and the mayors, the different mayors here in San Diego. I think now they're going to get a deal done. They have to now, because the Chargers have been cleared to go to L.A. with Kroenke and the Rams. But why would you want to go be a stepchild somewhere where you can be the big brother in your own city? It makes no sense. And Dean Spanos, the president of owner of the Chargers, said 25% of his business is in the L.A. market. The hell he talking about? Now, L.A. comes down here to see the Raiders. I heard L.A. fans who were right there, or San Diego Charger fans who were in L.A. said they wouldn't even go to the game in L.A., but they had no problem coming to San Diego to see the Chargers. San Diego and L.A. always have been a brother, stepbrother kind of relationship the whole time I've been here. The Chargers aren't going nowhere. They don't want the Raiders to be in L.A. because, to be honest with you, the Raiders will have a bigger fan base than the Rams do. When the Raiders were there in L.A., they won a championship. So if the Raiders come back to L.A., it's home already. So Kroenke doesn't want Mark Davis, and the Raiders there because they're going to be a bigger attraction than the Rams will be. So the Rams will get their deal. They got it already, and Kroenke's going to build a hell of a stadium. It's going to be a Disney amusement park there, second to Jerry's World, even better than Jerry's World. The Raiders will get their deal in Oakland because they belong in Oakland, and San Diego will be right here in San Diego, bullshitting, not doing nothing, and putting a mediocre team on the field, and they'll get their stadium too.
I mean, here's what's crazy, and I understand, or maybe, you know what, I don't understand because I'm not a billionaire, but the fact that some of these billionaires are looking for public funding is just incredible to me, because I saw it out here on Long Island with the Islanders. So I'm maybe a mile and a half from where the Islanders used to play at Nassau Coliseum. Great. I mean, it was a crappy stadium. It's been around for 42 years, but it was somewhere where I could take my son. We can go, whether it's a wrestling match or this or that, whatever the show was, when we enjoyed ourselves. But we got to the point where we had the opportunity to vote. Hey, your taxes are going to go up $58 extra per year. And, of course, with tax things only go up. They only increase.
They never go down. That's right.
To fund the stadium. I had to vote no. And now that stadium, the team is in Brooklyn. And I've yet to go to Barclays Center. Nothing against it, but I'm just like, well, hey, this was the team. This was here for 40-plus years, and they couldn't get it right. Politicians, everyone's dirty. I'm still in awe by the fact that these billionaires are asking for public dollars. To me, it's just a total shame.
You got to remember, too, the NFL is a pimp. The NFL is just a multi-billion-dollar business that continues to grow, continues to get bigger. Nothing can put a stain on the NFL. The concussion controversy, which is going to be there, and it's true, the domestic violence controversy, which really we're only talking about a microcosm of the world because NFL players don't make up the entire world. They reflect what's already in the world. Anything that goes on in the NFL is just like a fly on your shoulder. You flick it off, and they keep making money, keep building. And if they ask for something, it is 32 teams in the league. You will be blessed to have – now, you're blessed because you got 2 teams in your area, but you will be blessed to have a team in your city. So when it comes down to asking for this and asking for that, and of course they're contributing some money too, it's going to get done.
No, you're right. You're right. There's so many different topics to cover with you. Hey, so does Goodell? He's had some missteps in the past 18 months or so. Is he still here to stay? Should he be concerned about anything? What's your thoughts on Roger Goodell?
He ain't got nothing to be concerned about when you're making $44 million a year and the owners are paying you to do and say what they want you to do and say. He's good to go. And until he wants to go, like Pete Rozelle, until he wants to go and anoint somebody else, which Pete anointed Roger Goodell's going to be right there. Yeah, he's had some missteps in the public, and he's mishandled some things. This is true. But he's not going nowhere because all the owners, and in fact, from my understanding, a good percentage of them support him because basically they pay him. He does what they want him to do, and he does what they tell him to do. That don't get it twisted. You may be the commissioner of the NFL, but you are being paid by the 32 owners of the league. He ain't going nowhere.
Gotcha. Real quick question on Peyton Manning, his next steps. Do you think getting pimped out, it seems like there's pieces of duct tape holding him together. But do you think you see him in some uniform next season, or do you see him
No.
as someone's team president, or do you see him as, on NBC or the Four Letter Network, or where do you see?
He might make an appearance or two on TV, but I don't think his personality is one that lends to be. It's nothing against him. He's just dry. He does have a dry sense of humor. It comes across sometimes when he gets on Saturday Night Live, and it can be funny. I've seen some of the clips on YouTube. It could be funny. But as far as an analyst is concerned, or a color analyst, he reminds me of Joe Montana. Joe Montana took a stab at it, and he was terrible. So then he just went off and took care of his businesses. Peyton, he's invested a lot in different businesses. He got about 17 million Papa John's there in the Colorado area. He got the beer distributors, and he got some other stuff going on. Nationwide's got him on their hook. But I think he's done. I think he knows he's done. He's even hinted to it to a couple of people, and it's basically a Hollywood story. I mean, nobody expected him to come back this year, and then of course he sat out for 7 or 8 games. And even when he sat out for 7 or 8 games, he still led the league in interceptions. He just can't do what he used to do. And you don't want to see somebody continue to play when your body will not do what your mind wants it to do. He's done, and he had a great story going out on the Super Bowl championship win, just like his president and CEO, John Elway. And they did it for their owner, Pat Bowlen, which was another, kind of tear-jerker, heart-jerker story because, Pat did it for John when John won. Now John did it for Pat when he's unfortunately got old time. I was going to say old timers. That's what my uncle calls it, old timers, and not really in good health. But it's a good Hollywood story. Gotcha. So he's done.
Gotcha. Well, I want to spend the final couple minutes on what's going on with the legendary CS Keys. I love listening to the show. I would always tune in on Saturdays. I know you're retooling it and things like that. I just got to put it out there because I'm openly petitioning to get you on this network. But
I appreciate it, buddy. I really do.
I know that there has to be some discussions to go behind the scenes, but what's going on in your world? What's happening with you?
I appreciate that comment, man. You and my mom said it, so that's 2 people. But the show went on a little hiatus in August, and we were basically putting some things together. Sponsorship is one of the big hang-ups, so, until we get all that taken care of. But we will be back on there. I'm going to be like Ray Charles. I'm going to make it do what it do, baby.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, any quick thoughts on the one NBA question I'm going to ask you? Mm-hmm. I mean, the entire world is in love with Steph Curry, and everyone is now a Golden State Warrior fan. Will they meet or break that 72-10 record from the Chicago Bulls?
Oh, man, that's a good question, Ted, because it has kind of got me torn because I love what Steve Kerr has done with that team, a la Jackson, because that was Mark Jackson's team. And,
yes.
And I got to say, even Luke Walton has done a great job, sitting in for Steve Kerr. But that's Mark Jackson's team. But Steve Kerr is there, so he's done a great job. They got a championship. Glad for the folks in the Oakland area because it's been so long. I'm talking about decades and decades. And everybody, yes. Stephen Curry is he's the love of everybody right now. And as he should be. That boy is balling. That boy is balling, man. I see him before the game shooting stuff in the tunnel going straight net. I see him during the game just rising up on people and just boom, straight net. Walking down, he'll shoot it and turn around and start walking, not even knowing that's going in, but it went in. But Steph is the man, and the Warriors are doing what they got to do. But being a Michael Jordan fan, being a fan of that era and watching that team do what they did, if it happens, it happens. But I would have to, if you're going to put my feet to the fire, I'm going to say no, it's not going to happen. I'll let the Bulls hang on to that record, but the Warriors will still be up in the talk of one of the greatest teams at this point. They may, I think they're going to fall short. They're not going to get that record, but they'll be close to it.
Hey, I want to make this one last statement for you. The one last statement is David Blatt was kicked to the curb, and LeBron James knew nothing about it. He knew nothing at all, CS. And I wish I had the wave file for the X-Files music because real quickly,
let me tell you something. If you think LeBron didn't know what the hell was going on. Or if you think he wasn't consulted about it, then you know what? I got some land to sell you in Long Island that's near a swamp. Let me tell you something right now. LeBron never wanted Black there. He never had no head coaching experience. Black didn't take them to the finals. LeBron took them to the finals. When you look at some of that footage of him pushing Black away and changing, and he even said himself he would change plays. He didn't want him there. Everybody likes Tyronn Lue, especially LeBron. And Tyronn was on the come up anyway. Now, some people or some coaches or whatever will, kind of look at him in a negative way because the route that he took to get it. But then again, the players wanted him, and he is a good up-and-coming head coach. But if you think that LeBron had nothing to do with Black getting pushed out of there, man, please. He knew everything going on.
CS, I want to give you a round of applause.
I always enjoy my man. Anytime you need me, just give me a call. I appreciate you.
No doubt. Listen, tell us best ways to get in contact with you via social media.
Oh, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Same address, @CSKeysShow. Very simple.
Gotcha. CS, we're definitely going to be talking offline because, like I said, there's a spot on this network waiting for you. We need you. You're the legend.
We're going to keep the conversation open, and I better see my Twitter and Instagram followers rise up after I get off your show.
You got it, brother. Take care.
You got it, Ted. Thank you.
And that was CS Keys. We covered the Super Bowl. We covered relocation. We covered Cam Newton. We talked a little race. I'm sorry, folks. We had to talk race. We did. Okay. I'm really not sorry because, hey, it's a discussion that has to go on. But with that, before we bring our last but not least, the lovely Rosalind Ross on the show, we've got to take a quick break. I've got to plug our good friends and sponsors of the show, Audible. And I also have my Black History Month shout-out. I'm going to play that again for the second hour right now. So we got a Black History Month, our shout-out, and then we're going to play an Audible promo, and then the next voice you'll hear after mine will be Rosalind Ross.
Check this out. This is Ted Hicks from Late Night Parents, and we wanted to let you know about Black History Month.